It happens that my own presentation I would moderate on my own. Let me introduce myself. My name is Elena Rudeshko. I am the representative of the ELEKS company. That is one of the companies which provides the services in the localization of software. We are working on the market more than 10 years. Our main clients are the companies who are in Fortune 500 list. That means that those are the companies, one of the biggest corporations in the world is one of our clients. The topic of my today's presentation is connected with the optimization of the process of localization of software, and it would be like a supplemental and additive material to the presentations of Kirill and Alexander as they Kirill Solovyov and Alexander Pisarov showed the localization from the point of view of client. And here I am going to introduce you the vendor-oriented approach to localization. How do we do that to support our the needs of our clients at the maximum level? So, the first point is the reasons for optimization. It's very easy. If we would try to remember the very beginning, the opening of our conference, President Gala said that nowadays the main stress is made on the technical part and technical competence. I have to say that ELEKS company is a localization service is provided, and we are the designers of software, and we have a success in outsourcing software designing. We came to the localization due to that technical background. That's why optimization, the very optimization of the process connected with the technical aspects is one of the main points of our activities. Among the reasons are the tendency for innovation. They are everywhere, and it doesn't matter in what sphere you are working. That is also a fast and easy, high-quality results. We are the simplest ways for reaching those results. And the most important thing, which is the highest demand, that is a reduced time to market and same ship, that is simultaneous shipping. When we are doing something, when we are releasing our product together with one of our customers, we are doing that during 24 hours into 24 languages. That was a very hard task for both of us, for us as vendors and for our customers. The next reasons which made us as a company to go and to start working with the optimization and those processes in terms of improving the process, that is a huge volume of routine and monotonous tasks. That is the need to save our time, and it is at the same time important for us to reduce the costs for consuming and providing with those repetitive actions. And this last one is multiple platforms for all languages which we cover, with which we are working. Because if it is a realization of a product, especially of a big product, for example, we are working with Windows, that means that it has to be able to work on the basis of different Windows software. It is to be checked on the previous versions and so on. And it made us to think about the fact how we can shorten the time. Yesterday, you saw the localization process, which is how it looks at the clients. And here you see the localization process, which is in for vendor. First of all, we have the need. So we are working with the software, and we need to prepare the environment. Then we have the translation stage, and this stage usually rarely includes ours in a big amount, because we are more technically made vendor and technically developed. Then we have the art, that is work with graphical and multimedia software. That's not only software, but it's also documentations and all kinds of online helpers, which can include different kind of graphical elements. And if there is separate support on a web platform, so that means that there is a possibility it would contain a kind of multimedia elements as well. And it also demands a separate part of work, engineering. It can be used either for software or for documentation. Then we have QA, that is quality assurance processes. In our case, that is testing of localized software versions. And then we have fixing, that is the way of trying to deal with the possible defects. That it is also used for the documentation process as well, but it is somewhere at the medium. And then we have the final point, that is delivery. Why have I divided that into two parts, into software and documentation? That is aimed to show you the difference of those two parts. Yeah, really, that is a big process which is together, but still, when it is a multimedia or graphical works, it's better to do those things on a final version, to insert them at the last point of the last stage of preparing the product. What happened? What has happened during those periods? At the beginning, when we entered the market, we were unfortunately, it's not very good viewed, but we were client-oriented company. That means that we had a client-oriented approach. Then, as soon as we gained a certain experience, skills, and knowledge, we were qualified in the process, and our automation went into the source of automizing the process of localization, besides without taking into account the client with whom we were working. And this symbiose was closed, making a triangle. We started working and designing our own software for inner needs. Those are the innovations. And this approach, client-oriented approach, then process-oriented approach, and innovations, they gave very serious and very crucial success in activities of our company, because we achieved the level when we could work effectively with our clients, and we could do the work quick and quality, and we started to develop our own product. I would draw your attention to the client-oriented approach, and I would tell several words about the things we have achieved in this sphere. Those are the more practical, illustrative cases to show you what is needed, or to what issues you have to pay attention to when you are working with your clients or during the localization process. One of our tools which we have designed, that is automatic verification and software building changes, that is build off. What it gave to us, we used that first of all for QA testing services. The idea of that software of this tool is that we have a build and it is needed to compare this build with the English version. At the same time, when the builds are taken together, according to the facts where the elements were included into the new build, this comprising is different from the first build. Of course, at the first level of testing, we cover almost everything. For the second and the third testing, there is no need to cover those parts of software which were not changed. It's very important to detect what has changed and what we have to pay attention to more precisely. Before starting the testing process, it's very important to understand whether this build is working at all or not. In order to start the testing, one more time, we have to install the environment to set the build and then to see whether it is going to work or not. We have the initial report which compares the files between the builds and shows that while file setting or compilation, some parts of those files disappeared or are somehow damaged, and we can detect and inform the engineers who were compiling the product that you have the problems with this language or that one. We are going to do that, and please try to find out the ways of solving the problem in 2 or 3 hours, because we have to test the build. And if we have to do the task in 24 hours. But still, it's very important to do all the things very quickly. This tool helps us to find the problems which can appear, potentially can appear. We also compare the results, and we also reduce the time on build consistency verification and checking the products which were changed. The next program, software tool, which we decided is needed for us. It is also client-oriented tool. That is automate linking of graphical interface of CSS files. That is more web-oriented product. What has it given to us? And that is for engineering services aimed in dealing with defects of software. It gave ourselves as engineers the possibility to reduce, first of all, to visualize the very objects which are to be tested, those strings. Then we also had to make it lighter for engineers to detect the problem and to localize it and to delete it, or just to fix it. just to fix it. And as a result, we are reducing the time and the defects at the final result when we have the build. Then, having created this small tool, it appeared that it's very productive in terms of reducing the time. It was in 4 times reduced. The next tool is more engineer-oriented, and it's not only Windows-oriented but also Mac-oriented one. That is a multilingual UI replication. What is important here for us to do? That is determined in process of making localized builds. That means builds for lots of languages. First of all, the pseudo build is used. It can be named in different ways in different corporations, but still it exists. If there is a mistake from the very beginning, so when you do the compilation for many languages, it is automatically repeated in each version, in each localized version, and it's like a geographical projection of those developments, so it develops very quickly. The main idea of this tool, this utility, is again that it is client-oriented and it led fixing of all defects and bugs being in this pseudo build, and to reduce the speed of appearance of these bugs. It led to the fact of reducing the time which is needed for bug fixing, and it provides us with a bigger amount of time for that process of fixing bugs. When you finish the whole product, you don't need to verify such a big amount of defects. So we are speaking about pseudo localization. Yeah, that is more connected with pseudo localization, but still, if we go to the localized build, if we find 2 or 3 in case of 2 or 3 languages, and we have the mistake which is repeated 2 or 3 times, we do not scan the whole languages. We go to that particular build and check over there, or in other cases it looks like a general mistake for the whole builds, like in a code. The process-oriented approach to software, that was our inner approach, and it is divided into several parts which were created by us. We have a separate approach in working with documentation and UI, like interface. Speaking about the auto-install system, when you work with a big product or project, you have a lot of people who are involved in that project, meaning the software engineers, people who are working with documentation, people who are working with graphics, interfaces, and multimedia sources. It appears that to provide each person with the build, it is needed to prepare the certain environment to install the software, where it is also needed to make a copy of the soft and in a certain file, and that means that the whole process of preparing being prepared to work further, it takes a lot of time. In terms to reduce the time, we decided to analyze a big project. For example, for 20,000 of hours of general time. That means it's a really very huge project, and we are dealing with such kind of projects all the time. And the time we need for preparing environment for our work, it takes a lot of time, and this time is supposed to go somewhere. What we have done here? We designed our own product just to verify whether the build which we received from our customer shows the flag which tells that we have received it, and then we are starting to checking. Then we make a copy of files and make copies of logs, and then we have the process of installation, and there is also the process of making a report, and this process depends on the result, whether it was successful or not. What are the results? Again, the same project, which in total has 2,000 of hours. If we are doing all the work manually, that would take us 1.5 hours manually. And in terms of auto installation, we need only 15 minutes for doing the task. If you have a team and it can consist of five QA engineers for the one language, then we have 2 engineers dealing with the defects, bug fixing engineers. Then we have 2 art engineers and 3 people who are working with documentation. It means that having a minimum of checking the quality of the product is 5, and if we have 2 checks of the services which are connected towards documentation, and still we have 12 languages, that means that in a result we need to install this system for different languages 540 times. That is one of the projects which was calculated. That means that we need 810 human hours, man hours. If we take into account that the auto install was switched on in the evening and we came in the morning and everything is okay, still there is a possibility of several problems which could appear, and fault things, and the installation is not possible. That is that we need to have 5.5 man hours. In case if we do the setting on our basis, we can deal with that ourselves. So you see that the time is reduced crucially in terms of our activities and work. The same operations which are done all the time can help us in terms of reducing the time. So the difference is 804 hours for one project, for each project. How? Alexei, I'm from company Localisation. I would like to ask about installation. The thing you told about the quality. So what you said about the quality, the process is maximally directed for saving resources, but how do you deal with the problem with the need of installing localized version of software for each language? It works in case when for each build we install the English version, but testing of final software is done in the local language. Just look, we have Envara, and it automatically switches on the needed things. The question is how you mark up all the thing. Let's go back several slides ago. I mentioned the auto install system. It does everything automatically, and the results I mentioned before. Starting from those are not we who detect. Our program do that automatically. As soon as it receives the build, automatically we have the prepared environment, and there are triggers. We are repacking the Envara, and there is an installation. We get the log, and as a result, the person when come to work does not need to waste time for those things, because this is done at night, like in a fairy tale. Yeah. Again, we go back to the fact that we knew very well our client and the process, and we have analyzed that this is more profitable for us. We analyzed and decided to do that. Of course, we have a background in our branch. If we do not have something in our department, so then we can go to other guys who can give us any kind of advices. Now we are going to speak about process-oriented approach. It's not supposed to be such sufficient as an auto-install system. It is especially designed for documentation. Again, working with documentation, it appeared that there is a set of actions which are repeated all the time, and one of the possible variants was to develop auto font setting for InDesign. It was connected with installing these several fonts for the design. What was the idea? When you work with Asian languages, you cannot use Adobe InDesign's applications because there was no possibility to choose automatically the fonts which were needed for as Asian languages. As a result, we decided to make a small script. Unfortunately, it's not very well seen on the screen, but we started to choose the font automatically, and we also could make automatically installation of different kinds of writing the text. And we wrote this small script which worked with Adobe software. It helped us to reduce the manual part of work for our doc engineers approximately in a half. The second tool, which was also designed by our company, was caused by the idea that we met the need to improve our activity that was connected with import and export of text strings for illustrators. We analyzed our previous work and again decided to develop our own script, which downloaded and installed all the necessary strings into to editable CSV files, and then we send them to the engineers, and we're using them further. The very sense of this tool is very simple, but the save of time doing this task helps us to save nearly half of the general time. Another type of utility is a link checker, e-link checker, which helps us to not only to test but to deal with different utilities. This is really very easy and simple tool. We just wrote a code for working with the resources. When we took URL from resources and do that automatically, whether it works or not. Many people say that monkey jobs are to click, but that is detected and deleted now. And several words about multimedia. That's also important part of our work, especially if speaking about big projects, where besides the very graphical things, we need to include video. There are different softwares, in fact, but we decided to make our own one. We have our screen viewer. When you is calm and you can take the screens, you have it in English or any other language, which is main one for the project, and you have the local language, and you can compare. We use this for linguistic reviews, for analyzing the graphical and multimedia work, as well as if making automatical screenshots, we can check the quality of UI and not making that very testing of the product. So we use this very tool in three different stages. It's very comfortable and very precisely compares files and provides us with a very good visualization. It also allows us to make it quicker dealing with linguistic review. Having gained or in other way, having the results and experience and knowing the demands of our clients, being aware of processes and approaches of the clients according to the localization process, basing on our own background, as we have developed our own processes when we get the tasks from other clients, or that is a crossing service. Okay, time several seconds. When it's a crisscrossing service with other projects, so we developed our product that is an innovative project which is used for parallel testing. In reality, we have developed a big system which allows to test simultaneously in an online several languages, and in most cases that is the first variant is when we have one main language and 6 localized. The tester is working with one language and scans the whole script of the element in English, and simultaneously the mouse is working and can be active, and it is reflected on other languages. What are the results of that? We get our own product, we get a crucial reduction in time, people, and resources. Then we use screen viewer in case if it is needed to develop something else. Before that, we were working with other system of optimized testing. There were silk text when we were writing scripts, and we were making then screenshots. That was client-oriented tools. But when we made our own version, we are using it everywhere and try to reduce the time as far as it is possible. I would say that is all. You can see that we cover the whole optimization process. Unfortunately, it's not visible on the screen. The client is lying under the sun and just resting, and we are a little bit further in the background, and we are thinking about the things which can be also optimized and localized, and how should we use our knowledges in this sphere. I would say that is all of my presentation. Any questions? Only one question, because I also have a lot of questions. Okay, let's do that very quickly. Helen, you have the process that, how do you understand that that or rather software can do the work? How are you detecting that in your company, and how you are installing this software in doing that or other work? We would start with the fact that we have a separate team of engineers, a separate team of designers. Innovations are welcomed in our company, not only by us as managers, but by our clients. And when we see the possibility to optimize those actions, we started to gather information, and we have a separate team of engineers and developers who are responsible for dealing and designing these aspects, and we analyze the possibilities of optimization. We making brainstorming, and then we start to install that in our company. 2 or 3 years ago, we developed a separate certain department which were supposed to do those kind of things. And the guys working what they are visiting our company, they are thinking, brainstorming with us in terms of what can we do to improve the whole activity. So they are just sitting here by you and are watching, observing the very activity. The last thing test, our soft, it was developed in a very that way. The main thing was to find people who would be interested in developing those ideas. We have engineers who like to develop new ideas, and I know several people who are working on questions of automation, and they say that the customers say we have to do that, but I have an idea, we can do that, and they just visit, come to us, and we are discussing those. If the idea is a very good one, a smart one, and the question is only how to realize it with the minimum cost. Some short questions from me. I haven't understood till the end. Is it an inner software, or is it sold? It is client-oriented. We are using it with the clients. It's not to sale. No, the presentation is not aimed on selling questions. The presentation was aimed to show you how you can optimize and what can you get as the result at the end? The last question. Alexander, first of all. The quick continuation of to the content scenes question. What do you do with dealing with taking text from screenshots? Why do you made your own software? That wasn't done during the last year. We have a lot of software package. It depends on our client or in projects. At that very moment when we're dealing with the project, we haven't found an appropriate software utilities and tools, and that led to the fact that we developed. It was easier for us to make something on our own. It just historically was developed. So yes, that was historically predetermined. Yeah, of course, we are looking for trying to find something new. Once there is something not very appropriate for think, so we start thinking of developing. I cannot tell very accurately what we have done and why with what it was cost, but those are the results of 6 years' work. Innovation, that is an innovation. Persistently, we are working with this think test during 1 year, I would say. Very interesting approach. Thank you very much for your presentation. I'm, as a client, very satisfied with your work, with your software and technologies. Our best, from our point of view, on behalf of client side, a big thanks, great thanks to you. Would you tell us how are you working with translators? Maybe that is a little bit off topic, but still it's very interesting thing for the audience and for me as well. But only a few words, because we do not have many times. Only just a model, how it is done. Again, it depends on the project. Several projects predetermines that the client are just informed that they are responsible for the translation part. You are responsible for technology, and we are dealing with translation. We can be suppliers of a very partial process. If we are doing the whole project, not for a very big corporations, just our own projects. We have our own database of translators into Russian and Ukrainian languages. We do that at home. Polish language, the same case. And then we need to deal with the language agencies or freelancers, and then we are the clients. The main task of the presentation was to show the process of software localization, and the very software you had introduced web part, and I'm with software part. I would say that it's a part of a very big process. General public and many people who are here can participate in your project as well. I do understand. Thank you very much. I decided not to ask my question. Sorry. Thank you. We would speak later.